It's Friday. I'm very, very, very jacked up. Very excited. It's great slate of games. First London game. Monday Night Football is my Chiefs. I'm pretty jacked up, man. Blank 13, yo. Coy got me 17 points. So it's funny. I saw that first missed field goal and I was like, oh my God. And then the other one was blocked and I was thinking, oh God, you're going to kill me. You are going to kill me. But the late field goal late. I actually was wondering if when they got into overtime, if it would be a battle of field goals. I was thinking maybe you could get 2 field goals and then, okay, you'd be happy with me. So, yeah, I was a little worried, but 17 points, great. I suggested a lot of people to stay out, to stay away from Falcons players, and boy, I feel like a turd. Mixon is out. Neighbors is out. Eckler is going to play, but Brian Robinson is questionable. Anthony Richardson is questionable. So, hopefully you started. Hey, Noah, hopefully you started Drake London and did not listen to me. I made some big mistakes. Yeah, I didn't expect it. I mean, I've been saying I went back and watched part of my live stream yesterday, and I kept on saying, I love Mooney, and it's just they don't know how to use them. Well, they figured it out. Now, a large part of the Tampa Bay loss was that their secondary is the secondary is decimated. The secondary for Tampa Bay is decimated. They have probably in Antoine Winfield the best safety in the National Football. I think he's the best safety in the National Football League. He's out. One of their starting corners is out. The linebackers are, Levante David, I think, is like 35, 36. He's not really back in the day. He was really good against the pass, not now. And the guy they got to replace Devin White this offseason, more of a run stopper. But, yeah. So there's some questions. But, yeah, I dropped the ball in. I was told Eckler was not going to play. And I was like, yeah, you want to start Brian Robinson Jr. Now it looks like it's flip-flopped. I want to clear that up. Anthony Richardson's questionable. Jonathan Taylor is out. Neighbors is out. So, I mean, these are some things I wasn't expecting. So I kind of want to make sure nobody starts somebody who shouldn't. And that's something I want to be very clear about today. I don't want you to play a player he's not in. And I'm going to try to see if I can come up with some good options today for you that have a player that you were expecting. So we're going to do that today. Would you trade Worthy for Pollard? Yes. Yeah, Xavier Worthy for Pollard's a no-brainer, Mozzie. I'm a Chiefs fan, and I love Xavier Worthy. But bottom line, he's probably going to have 5 to 8 touchdowns, anywhere between 600 to 800 yards. And as much as I love the kid, he's not going to have massive production. Pollard, they're not splitting carries between Pollard and Spears. Like Pollard's the main guy, and I've been saying this for a while. Like sooner or later, I firmly believe. Now my buddy Denver Gator is a huge Will Levis fan, so but they're going to bench him. And that offense is gonna do a little better. So 100% make that move. I would make it, and if I'm right, Tennessee's on a bye this week. If I am correct, I'm almost positive on that. I should have this memorized. I do not. Tennessee is on a bye. Yeah, they're on a bye. And then what you want to do is probably start Pollard from here on out. Would you trade DJ Moore away, and for who? I would not trade DJ Moore away, to be honest with you. I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be the guy. I really don't. But that said, I think he's still like a really, really solid, wide receiver number 2, low end wide receiver number 1, really, really good player. The worthy for Pollard trade, yes, make that move immediately. And next week you start Pollard. If you're, let's just say you want to get rid of DJ Moore, what needs do you have? Do you need a running back? Do you want to trade him for another receiver? I would need a little more information. So, but the first part, absolutely. Yeah, I dropped the ball. Keaton from Keaton Talk Sports. Keaton is joining me Monday. Keaton has a YouTube channel just like mine. He does a picks video. Keaton picked Tampa to win. I picked Atlanta to win. I'm not saying my picks or videos are better, but I'm 1-0. Keaton's 0-1. That's all I'm saying. He's been picking more winners than I have. So just straight up. But he will be joining me Monday. And by the way, for those of you who think I called the game right, no, I predicted a 20-16 low-scoring slugfest. So I was not right at all. But Keaton will be joining me Monday. He's been a regular guest on the show. Fantastic YouTube channel. Great dude. Great dude. Dave says, hey, man, no bunch of letting you have it. That being said, I didn't believe Mooney would have a game like that. LOL. I'd rather have him on a bench than on another team. Yeah, listen, when I'm wrong, I encourage you to come on and tell me I'm wrong. I have no problem with that. If I make a prediction and I'm wrong, I don't mind people letting me have it. I would rather you come in and let me have it than not say anything to me at all. I'm not. I can be hypersensitive in certain things, but no, I have no problems admitting I'm wrong. I'd rather. I think it's very important. There's a lot of YouTube channels I follow where if you don't agree with what the host says, then people just make fun of you or start doing name calling and stuff like that. I never want this to be a channel where what I say is the end all be all. I always want it to be kind of an interactive type environment where I throw out an opinion. Am I right? Am I wrong? And by the way, just because I say, oh, you shouldn't start Mooney, it doesn't mean that I can't be swayed. It doesn't mean that I can't see a comment or watch something and say, you know what, I'm wrong. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to keep my rants to a minimum. I want to make sure I answer every question, but I was watching Bucky Irving, and Kirk Herbstreit brought up that when Bucky Irving's in the game, the offense looks a little more energized. And I've been saying it's not really a 1-2 punch. It's more like you got the main guy and then the lesser guy. I think that's going to switch. That's one thing I was wrong about. I have a huge man crush on Rachaad White. I grew up in the Kansas City area. Rachaad White went to high school in a place called Raytown. You've never heard of it. It's a very small town, about 15 minutes away from Kansas City. He had to go to JUCO, and then he went to Arizona State. And then when he got on at Arizona State, they had some other running backs ahead of him. He had to work his way up the depth chart. He's a guy I really like. The team looks better at Bucky Irving, so I kind of eat some. I have to eat some crow on that. So, yeah, I have no problem with that. But I do appreciate you, brother. I really appreciate that comment. That's just freaking awesome. He looks really good. Yeah. Is he a must start going forward? I wouldn't say that, but I do want to pay attention. I know London got a little banged up. I think it's fine. I remember Mooney had 100 catches in Chicago, and then they brought in DJ Moore, and then they kind of just stopped using him, and I never understood that. I want to tell you yes. I also I've seen a lot of games in my life where a player has this one great game and that's it. And I could see that being a situation. I've always liked Mooney. I loved him coming out of college. Track guy, good hands, run after the catchability. And I want to tell you yes. I really want to tell you yes. The truth is, I want to see another game where he's not playing against a depleted secondary. But I've always liked Mooney. Always liked Mooney. I need to see a little more before I call him a must start. But if you have him on your team, I hope you played him. This could also be a situation where you might be able to sell high. You may be able to, if you have him, you might be in a really good situation to trade him and get some other players. So yeah, that was another thing is that it really looked like it was Cousins' go-to guy, and that means a lot because look, when you're a veteran quarterback like Cousins, and even though they drafted a guy with the 8th overall pick, guy I love, you get to pick and choose who you want to throw the ball to. Do you really trust that guy? And it really looks like he trusts Mooney. It really looks like he trusts Mooney. I want to see a little more before I'm like, oh, this is wide receiver number one. But we could be looking at a guy as a wide receiver number one. We could be. And listen, you play indoors. It's on the fast track. Cousins is the best quarterback Mooney's ever played for, and Mooney's got a lot of ability. I've always liked Mooney, so we'll find out. Would you trade Tyrion Addison for Debo PPR 12 teams? Vince Boyd, great question, brother. I would lean against it, and the only reason I'm going to say that is because while Debo, when healthy, will probably get more points than either one. There's a lot of balls in San Francisco. You got Kittle, you got Ayuk. I'm not a buyer in Jennings, but he is there and he's put up some good numbers. You can never count on Debo to be healthy. McLaren, I think, is definitely the number one dude. And is, by the way, people are talking about Jaden Daniels MVP. It's like, calm down, everybody. Calm down. But he's the number one guy there in Washington, and with Jordan Addison, he's definitely the number two guy. But the way Darnold's been playing, he's going to put up some numbers. So you have two really, really good the low end number two. You have some low end number ones, or ideally your team set up with, if you're in a PPR league with 12 teams. These two guys probably aren't your one. You probably got another number one. I hope so. But the thing is with Debo, don't get me wrong, Debo's going to have that week where he has, like a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, like 150 total yards, and you're going to go, Dan. But there's going to be weeks where McLaren's going to have more points. There's going to be a week Addison has more points. And I don't trust Debo's health at all. I mean, he's always going to miss games. That's just how he is. So I would not recommend it. If your team is so stacked that you got one or both of these guys on the bench, then sure. But you do got some good receivers. Oh, DK and St. Brown. Oh, God, yeah. God, I mean, God, I get the logic. I get the logic because you would actually flex Debo. You start these two guys, flex Debo, and you hope you get some receiving yards. I'm still going to advise against it. I would. By the way, Vince, if you pull the trigger, you're like, hey, Dan, you're the one who was telling us not to play anybody on the Falcons. So now I'm going to pull the trigger. I wouldn't blame you one bit. I would advise against it because I could see you making this move. Debo gets hurt, and you're scouring the waiver wire when you have two legitimate players. Let me ask you this: the guy that has Debo, can you get something else? Can you get an add-on? Doesn't have to be another receiver. I mean, that would be my suggestion, but I wouldn't blame you. St. Brown's your number one. Metcalf, who's been wildly inconsistent and under this new offense, has had, I think it's 3 straight 100-yard games. So, yeah. I think so. I mean, I really want to see a little more, but yeah, absolutely a good flex play. Now, Noah, that trade that you were trying to make for Justin Jefferson, I would still see if you can include, I mean, that same trade that you made, what was it? London. I forget what it was off the top of my head. That trade after this week may not get vetoed. And I would still make it. I really would. I think the London injury is going to be fine. We'll have to find out. But hey, Vince, let me know what you do. But I still wouldn't recommend it. And the reason why is that you're starting to get into the. By the way, you're starting to get into the bye weeks. I got a message yesterday from a guy. He was like, look, I got like 9 players on a bye, and I need to pick somebody up. I got to drop somebody. What do I do? It's like, man, I threw out some names, but none of them were, really good starters. So I wouldn't blame you if you did it. I really wouldn't. I would still advise against it, even though in the flex, Debo is going to get you more. So the money mark, that is so cool, man. Just got offered BTJ for Najee half PPR. Would you do that? No. And as much as I love Brian Thomas Jr., you're going to see a guy in the chat probably later today, Perry. He has been raving about this guy since March. And I think it might just be a matter of time before he takes over as like the number one dude. Okay. He's a rookie. He hasn't done it yet. There's some problems, legitimate problems in Jacksonville. Najee Harris is definitely a low-end starting number one running back, especially in a half PPR. Both Patterson and Warren? Yeah, Patterson and Warren are questionable. Dallas has been giving up a lot of points. I wouldn't do that at all. Now, if you got some really good running backs in your stride, there is a case where I might make this trade, but no, I wouldn't recommend it. The only exception would be if you got like James Cook, Saquon Barkley. You got maybe those two guys who I'm really high on James Cook. If you would have to have 2 absolute studs at running back, and maybe you have a team that where hey, you know what? I got Cooper Kupp, I got Puka, I got Rashee Rice, that type of situation, maybe. But if you want to drop your roster, and I'll get to it. I do rant. I'm already 10 minutes behind. I just started my show, but let me, if your roster is loaded with running backs, you might want to do this. I wouldn't recommend it at all. No. No, you have Juju Smith-Schuster, who I think will take over as the number one. A lot of people in Chiefs Kingdom thinks it's just a matter of time for Devontae Adams or Amari Cooper comes over. I'm not one of them. Juju Smith-Schuster was really, really productive when he was in Kansas City. This season, they gave Noah Gray a nice extension. They also drafted a tight end, Jared Wiley, in the 4th round. He was getting a lot more playing time last week. I really think that Rice Worthy is not the only option. I actually, tell you the truth, it would not surprise me against the Saints if Juju Smith-Schuster has a better day than Worthy. Don't get me wrong. The one thing about the Saints is that they have an older secondary. I could see a situation where Worthy does the same thing he did last week and gets behind the defense, and you go deep and you win, and you have that big long touchdown. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Juju Smith-Schuster has 8 or 9 catches, 70, 80 yards, and a touchdown, and Worthy has that 2 touches for 15 yards, but he could also have 2 touches and 85 yards and a touchdown. So the Chiefs have a guy, Sky Moore, who's not panned out, but I thought that you were going to get the Rashee Rice production out of a dude named Sky Moore, who I got very little playing time. He got 1 target and he dropped the ball. So I'm like, no. But no, there's probably some other options, but because Worthy's a guy that anytime he has one of those big plays, it's a sell high type of dude. But bottom line, at the end of the year, he's going to have like probably 500 to 700 receiving yards and 5 to 8 touchdowns. And you get a guy, Tony Pollard, that's a running back number 1 in most leagues. And as soon as they put in Mason Rudolph and bench my boy Denver Gators guy, that he's going to be a much more viable option. So yeah. Also note about the Worthy Pollard trade, Brees is my. Oh, you have some good running backs. Yeah, you definitely. And you know what I like is that Nick Chubb's out, so Ford I think might be a start this week, depending on what you got. Brees is your running back number 1. Pollard becomes your number 2 running back. I'm not a Dowdle guy. No disrespect on the dude, but I'm not. I think Ford's a guy I would want to play this week. I got a feeling I like Ford against the Washington defense. That's just me. And Brooks is not, even though he's not coming back to practice, I still would hold on to him if you can. If you have a losing record in your league, you may want to get rid of Brooks, try to get some more production. If you're at 500 or you have a winning record, hold on to Brooks because there is a chance once he gets into the lineup. Yeah. Pollard's an excellent ad. Pollard is an excellent ad on this team, depending on the rest of your team. But you definitely would want to go Brees. Not this week because bye, but Brees, Pollard. This week you're going to probably go. I'd be curious what you want to do, but if you want to play Dowdle, great. I like Ford a lot better, but yeah. I get it, but I would make this move. I wouldn't even. To me, that's a no-brainer. Justice Hill, Cam Akers, or Trey Sermon in the flex. Jeff Life. That's an awesome name, man. I like that. I would definitely go with Sermon. Jacksonville's defense is beat up. It looks Anthony Richardson's questionable. If I'm the Colts, I don't even think about this. I just put in Flacco, and this to me is a no-brainer. Everything in that offense is better when you put in Flacco. Everything, including the running back position. Don't get me wrong. I could see a situation where Cam Akers has a good game. But I'm gonna level with you. I predicted, if you watch my video, actually I forgot to put this on here. I do a weekly picks video, and I predicted a very high scoring game between Buffalo and Houston. But Buffalo does have a good defense. They gave up a lot of points to Baltimore last week, but I like the Sermon matchup better. Justice Hill is interesting. I know Cincinnati's defense has been bad. I I think he'll get a little more playing time because Derrick Henry getting 25 to 30 touches a week is not sustainable. I like Trey Sermon personally, but one thing about both Akers and Hill is that neither one of those guys are terrible options. I don't think you're losing with either one of those guys, but I would go Trey Sermon. I really like the matchup. I think with Flacco involved, I mean, Trey Sermon's a dude with some ability, and you have a good offensive line. I also Jacksonville as a defense. There's a chance that Jacksonville loses this game. Peterson gets fired. A lot of times when you can kind of feel like the head coach is getting fired, everything kind of falls apart. Do you remember last year when right before the Chargers, I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name, Chargers coach got fired, they gave up like 61 points to the Raiders. You could have something like that. It could be that bad in Jacksonville. And then if that's the case, then you really want to strike. And full disclosure, I predicted that with Anthony Richardson starting, Jacksonville would get first win this season. But if Flacco starts, I think the Colts will win. So, yeah, I did too, man. I really did too because, and by the way, with Neighbors being out, that's just good for Wendell Robinson. So Robinson may be Robinson will be his fantasy football value goes up quite a bit. So I think number one in Atlanta is, I think it's London because Mooney got more targets when London was out. The end of the first, start of the second was when Mooney scored the first touchdown. I'd lean London. It's a tough one because London, I think, got a few more targets. I was really surprised because I liked what they did offensively for the first time all season. They looked like they were in attack mode, which the other games they've played in this season. Keep in mind, Kansas City has a really good defense. Pittsburgh has a really good defense. Philly has some playmakers. And the Saints have a good defense. Like, this was the first time all season they just went against I think a more beat up unit than bad defense. But this is the first time all year I've seen them into attack mode. And is this something that you're going to see going forward? Or is this just one of those weird fluke type of things? And sometimes you get a weird fluke thing. So the answer is, I don't know. Yeah. I think he's fine too, but London could have had an even bigger game if you leave at the end of the first, start in the second, overtime. He looks good, man. This is a reason why he was drafted top 10. I didn't like to pick because he got hurt, missed the final 4 games of his career at USC, and then he couldn't participate at the combine, and you just weren't seeing the production. He had a great game. I want to see more, but to answer your question, it's really hard to say because I can break down both players. You have one guy in Mooney, is a track guy. I really think run after the catchability Mooney, but that first touchdown London had, I was like, I haven't seen that out of London where he just hey, I'm the guy. And at USC, even though he missed his final 4 games, he had something like 95 catches. And I was like, okay, is that going to translate into the NFL? And for a while it didn't. But if he plays like he did on a consistent basis, that's one of the best players in the NFL. Mooney's a guy who's had a 100-catch season. I've always loved his game. I never understood after that 100-catch season why Chicago just didn't use him more. Home run speed, run after the catch. I like his hands too. I have no idea of what the players are like, inside the locker room practice. I just kind of have to guess. And to be honest with you, we'll have to see going forward. But the one thing is we finally got Kyle Pitts to kind of show up a little bit. I think Kyle Pitts has more athleticism and ability than neither one of those guys, but he's clearly like option 3. So it's hard to say. But off of what I saw, I think it's almost 2 number ones, to be honest with you. I mean, let's calm down the comparisons, but kind of like, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, I'd have to see a little more. Mega Brick, full PPR sit one, Tutu Atwell, Pittman, or Judy. For me, it's Atwell. It looks like Flacco's going to get the start, and if Flacco gets a start, Pittman, I want to play him. Judy's been the number 1 guy in Cleveland, which is weird. I low-key like the Browns matchup at Washington. I know Washington played really well last week at Arizona. I still like that. Keep in mind, Tutu Atwell is going to have opportunities, with Puka and Cup being out. But by the way, which quarterback is the best one you want throwing the ball? Flacco, Anthony Richardson, Deshaun Watson, or Stafford. It's obviously Stafford, but I still would sit Atwell. I think Flacco's going to start, and I would not be surprised that Pittman have another 100-yard game. Jerry Jeudy's been kind of the number 1 guy in Cleveland, so we'll have to wait and see. But I like Pittman and Jeudy. I think this could be a good game for Jeudy. I also think it could be the kind of coming out party for Amari Cooper, who's been really limited. I really low-key like this game, Cleveland versus Washington, for the Browns. So that would be my recommendation. Yeah. I still, but I kind of want to look at that a little more, like which one's the number 1. I don't know, but I will say this: I love the way that they're in attack mode. If they continue to play like this, they're going to be very dangerous. Let's see what they do, kind of going forward. So, but it was a great game. I predicted a low scoring game, a lot of fun. I'm hurting at running back and good at wide receiver. You have Marvin Harrison Jr., DJ Moore. I'll hold off on the trade. Yeah, so I get it. You want to use Debo. Would your league allow you to put Debo in at running back? That's another thing. Some leagues are weird that way. Okay, so it's a half PPR league, 3 wide receiver, 2 running backs. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Okay. You need some dudes. So the problem. Oh, you can get Najee Harris. I'm sorry. Yes. Make that trade because you got some good receivers here. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah, if that's the case, yes, because what you're going to do is you're going to have Sermon, Bucky. I've been saying he's the number 2 guy. That I've been wrong about him. No, don't give up. Not, dude. No, and here's the deal: you don't want to give up Najee because. You got Trey Sermon, you got Jonathan Taylor. Bucky's going to come up. Javonte is, by the way, I love Javonte Williams, so I don't blame you for drafting him because that's a dude who I absolutely loved coming out of North Carolina. When Sean Payton took over, I was like, this guy's going to be like Alvin Kamara. It hasn't panned out at all. I don't understand why. But if you really, yeah. I keep saying that. Here's the deal. I keep saying that. They really like that McLaughlin kid in Denver. They really, really do. They really love that kid. I keep thinking it's going to be time, but I do like Bucky. I have to admit I was wrong about him. And keep in mind I have a huge man crush on Rashad White. But one other thing about that trade is that you're giving up 2 receivers. Let me go back here. I'm going to take a look. I think I'm caught up on comments. So I got a complaint. I spend way too much time ranting, but I think I'm good enough today right now that I can make this. So let me find out if I can find that trade. Bear with me. I'm trying not to take too long. And okay. Oh, okay. I thought it was okay, I'm sorry. I got a little mixed up. So yeah, if you're hurting at running back and you're good with receiver and you're giving up Najee, no, absolutely not. Don't do that. I mean, yeah, Najee Harris is a guy that you want to start. But the good news is that things do get turned around with Javonte or Bucky. You have some moves, but yeah. If you're don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. And by the way, I love Brian Thomas Jr. I think things could really, really turn around. But since you're hurting on running backs, I would not make this move. These are all the bottom tier running backs, but Mixon is out, and I'm desperate running back, full PPR start one. Zamir White, Steve. I can't pronounce it. All right. Yeah, Mixon is as I don't know if it's official, but he's not going to play. After Azir White, I cannot pronounce it. Ujamanali, I think he had a touchdown reception last year. So you have Akers, Ujamanali, and I'm butchering that. I am so sorry. Those are the 2 guys, and there is a chance that he could get more and more touches. I loved Cam Akers coming out of Florida State for whatever reason. Hasn't really been working out for him. Madison looks like he's going to take more and more touches away from Zamir White. That by the way, against a tough Broncos defense, I don't like that at all. Justice Hill is intriguing. I mean, Justice Hill's a little intriguing because I know for a fact Derrick Henry's not getting 25 to 30 touches every single week. Is this the week where they include Justice Hill a little more? You have to kind of guess. I'll be honest, the most upside would be Miles Sanders. Tough matchup against Chicago. And Chuba Hubbard has really been doing a good job. I mean, really, really, really good job. And then McLaughlin, we were talking about Javonte Williams. They love McLaughlin in Denver. It's a tough matchup against a tough defense, but the one thing about the Raiders is Max Crosby is out. Let me take a look here because I should have a general idea. I actually don't. 9 carries, 46 week. Last week, 9 carries, 46 yards, 1 catch, nothing. Not really. And I mean, that was against a very tough Jets defense. Raiders defense isn't going to be quite that good. I am a big fan. Wow, Javonte Williams had a much better game than I thought, but no touchdowns this year. All right. Sorry. One thing about living out in Vegas is it gets a little dry. All right. I'm aware that I rub my eyes a little too much. I really, really, really want to tell you Sanders here, and it's just that they're just not using him that much. And Chuba Hubbard, they gave him so much money, but I mean, let's look at this: six carries, 32 yards, 3 receptions, 14 yards. I mean, 1 touchdown this year. 25 carries, 8 receptions. I mean, this was a dude who I really thought would win the job sooner or later. He hasn't. I mean, yeah, you don't have a good option. Miles Sanders, I think, has the most potential. You may want to go with Justice Hill. Just a hunch. This could be the week where they dial back Derrick Henry, use Justice Hill a little more, who's more of a home run threat, by the way. None really good options. I'll be honest with you. I Mega Brick. I cool name, by the way. You've heard me. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I use this expression. It's like, what flavor is the best one? Some people like chocolate, some people like strawberry. That's kind of the situation that you're in. I would lean towards either Justice Hill or Miles Sanders. Hill, I think, has the better matchup. What you're banking on with Hill is that this would be the week where they say, hey, look, Derrick Henry can't have 25 plus touches 3 consecutive weeks. We're playing Cincinnati. Cincinnati's going to be ready for, they're going to stack the box. They're going to, load up. This will be the week we get Justice Hill a little more involved, kind of throw the Bengals off a divisional team. And, what you want to do is that against the divisional teams, kind of throw things you haven't really seen. Not Justice Hill, they've seen before, but he's not like the number one option. The last 2 weeks, what have the Ravens done? Well, Derrick Henry gets over 25 carries and they run the ball and they win. So you may have to do something different. I have, like, Miles Sanders just has such massive upside. I loved him coming out of college. I love Chuba Hubbard coming out of Oklahoma State, but I mean, I can't figure out why things haven't worked out for Miles Sanders. It kind of looks like it should. Not giving you a great answer there. I would lean towards Justice Hill out of those. I would lean towards either Hill or Sanders, to be honest. More Hill. So I hope it works out. These are not good options, to be honest with you. The more I think about, I'm kind of leaning more towards Hill being the guy. I kind of like start thinking about it, talking about it out loud, and I'm leaning towards like Hill kind of having a week. So good luck. These aren't great options, but yeah, with mixing out, I get it. I'm big on ETN as well. I mean, this is a 3-down back with home run speed, and I really think that it's just a matter of time before things start clicking with that Jacksonville offense. I mean, you got playmakers at receiver. You made some. I thought you made improvements to the offensive line. I listen. ETN's a guy. Listen, before the season started, I think you said you're in a 12-man league. I probably would have said ETN's like a mid-tier first round back. I mean, this is one of the players I ranked highest in fantasy football because it's kind of like I use this for Kyrie Williams in LA with the Rams is like he's kind of like Diet McCaffrey. And I think the same thing about DTN. It really is. You're getting the same type of player that Christian McCaffrey is. It's just that he's just not quite that guy. I know he hasn't been productive. He's been a little banged up. They're giving him kind of taking away his touches. I get that. No, I understand. No, I seriously, if you don't have to, don't trade them. But if you listen, I would keep him. I mean, if I remember right, you're the guy with CD Lamb and Amon-Ra. I mean, you got 2 stud receivers. And the one thing about ETN is that he's kind of a buy low, or I'm sorry, sell low type of guy right now. There's going to be a game, and by the way, Indianapolis has one of the worst rushing defenses in the National Football League. I mean, the run defense is terrible. This might be the week where ETN just explodes. And if you are going to sell him after he has a good game against a bad rushing defense. But I with your 2 receivers, and you also have Drake London. I recommended not to play him, but you did play London, right? I hope you did. Yeah, I don't blame you, and I wouldn't. Yeah, I keep. By the way, if you have to move Javonte Williams, I understand. I keep saying the same thing. I mean, this is a dude I absolutely love. This is a high school valedictorian, went to North Carolina as a linebacker. They wisely said, look, move over to the offensive side of the ball. And you have a much higher pro potential. By the way, I think he could have played linebacker. I mean, he's a dude's got 4.5 speed. He's 230. I think part of the reason that they made the move is he's like 5'10", 5'11". A lot of times you want a little bit of height. I'm talking more from scouting. I mean, there's short linebackers that can play fantastic. Sam Mills is one of my all-time favorite players, Pro Football Hall of Fame, 5'9" linebacker. But I think they made the right move in college, saying, listen, move over to running back. But this is a dude who's smart, big-time speed, size. I good receiving skills. I fully expected there to be a day where like this would be a low end running back number 1 in fantasy. I really thought this would be a guy who would be a 1,500 scrimmage yards, 12 touchdowns every single year. And I don't understand why it hasn't worked out. But yeah, I'm with you. So man, hey man, I'm glad. Listen. Thanks for joining me. I'm glad you're here. I get a kick out of doing this Monday through Friday. I'm leaning towards making. It's not official, but I'm leaning towards making this like Fantasy Football Friday. So, but listen. By the way, since I don't recognize the name, it's a fantastic name. Follow me on social media. If you have any questions, I will be available Saturday. Sunday, the phones are staying off. The computer's off. I just watch football. I do Chiefs play-by-play. Chiefs play Monday night, so I'll be live on YouTube for Monday. But my point is, if you have a question going forward, you can DM me on social media. You can go old school. You can email me, Dan Talks Football at yahoo.com, or just drop a comment in any one of the videos. And I'll do my best to answer you as quickly as possible. But full disclosure, you asked me a question Sunday. I won't get you. If you ask a question Saturday, I'll get you depending on what part of the country you're in. Sunday morning, Saturday night, I will get back to you. Perry, what's up, brother, man? I was just talking about you earlier. Somebody brought up a Brian Thomas Jr. trade for Najee Harris, which I recommended against. But I did bring up that, hey, I know your love affair of Brian Thomas Jr. And I do think that he's going to be the number one guy sooner or later in Jacksonville, but Jacksonville has some issues. So. Denver Gator! Have you talked about any predictions for the weekend? Last night's game was good, in my opinion. Yeah, it was a good game. As far as predictions, I know you're curious. I picked the Falcons to win. Keaton from Keaton Talk Sports picked the Bucks to win. That's all I'm saying. He'll be on Monday. I hope somebody reminds him of that, because the last couple of weeks he's picked more winners than I have. But all I'm saying is that I picked Atlanta to win. Keaton picked Tampa to win. That's all I'm saying. I predicted a low-scoring game. I advised against playing Mooney in London. But I put something in the comments, though, and I don't know if you saw on the YouTube community page, but I put something on there. Are the Falcons pretenders or contenders? Because every single game they've played this week this year has been a one-score game. I mean, they came very close to beating Kansas City. They weren't close to beating Pittsburgh, but that's okay. They came very close to beating Kansas City. All their wins. I mean, overtime win. Drake London touchdown under a minute against Philly. What was it? 56-yard field goal to win. By the way, the Saints should have really won that game. So I can argue Saints should have won. I can argue the Bucs should have won. So anyway, I put out something. Are Saints pretenders or contenders? And it was like 90% contenders. So I'll level with you. I thought Tampa had a better team, considering how banged up they were late in the game. That face mask, the missed face mask, that wins the game for Tampa Bay. And by the way, I have a bunch of guys that send me all sorts of stuff. I had a guy. If you're still on social media, Denver Gator, I would send this to you. But a buddy of mine said, "This is Mahomes without the refs' help, and it's Daniel Jones." And I was like, that's just funny. I was going to go over the predictions. I actually brought up the point spread changes, and why did it go away? Oh, wait, hold on. I got the wrong section here. But no, I was going to look at some of these point spread changes. There's not many. I was going over some of the injuries. Jonathan Taylor's going to be out. Malik Neighbors is going to be out. It appears Anthony Richardson is not going to play. But no, I was going to go over this in a little more detail. By the way, my picks video, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, it's fantastic. Like I said, I picked Atlanta to win. Some people didn't. I'm not going to say who, Keaton, but I'm just throwing it out there. But no, I'm gonna go over this a little more in hour two. But I did want to touch base because I really did expect Jonathan Taylor to play in what I think is a big game for both the Colts and the Jags. And then I also was expecting Neighbors to play. He's not. I saw Eckler was ruled out back on Monday, and now Eckler's cleared to play, but Brian Robinson isn't. Where I was like, hey, look, because Eckler's not going to play, you want to play Brian Robinson. So an hour or two, I'm going to go over some of my picks, and I'll go over. There's not a lot point spread wise that changed. There's just some minor changes, nothing really big. So Perry, yeah. What do you think about the Falcons? I thought it was great. I did think the Bucs looked like the better team. Antoine Winfield may be the best safety. I think he's the best safety in football. I really do. He was out. You put him in. Who knows what you have. That said, Bucs came very close to winning a game. If the Falcons offense plays that aggressively and they're so multifaceted, like why they haven't thrown to Kyle Pitts more until this week. Mooney, his best game is Falcon, obviously. Drake London's best game is a Falcon, obviously. You have Kirk Cousins over 500 yards. I'm still trying to wrap my head around 500 yards. I've seen players do it. I've seen quarterbacks who aren't that good do it. Remember a guy named Elvis Gerbach by any chance? Does that name ring a bell? He holds the Chiefs single game passing record. He had over 500 yards in a loss, but it's not. A lot of people think Patrick Mahomes has a single game passing record for the Chiefs, and you would think that, but no, that's actually Elvis Gerbach. Elvis Gerbach against the Raiders, a loss against the Raiders, had over 500 yards passing. But kind of makes you wonder if the Falcons used the 8th overall pick on a pass rusher and then still added great 58 minutes into the show, and I'm already drawing a brain freeze. Matthew Judon. God, how good could they be? Maybe they're good anyway. How crazy would the NFC South be if Carolina beats the Bears and the Saints beat the Chiefs? Nobody wants to see the Chiefs lose. Nobody, especially Denver Gator. The NFC South is going to be a fun division. It's funny because the NFC South the last couple of years has been a bad division. Now it's a fun division. Now it's a lot of fun. By the way, as a Lions fan, you've got to love that. You don't see the Bucs win. You don't want to see the Bucs win. Listen, the Lions have to think about playoff positioning for the first time, ever? Not being mean to Lions fans. It's true. You got to think about playoff positioning. So great game. Great game. I knew this. So last night's game showed a lot of grit on both sides this year, so unpredictable. I love the chaos. It's a lot of fun. Derrick Henry can make a case legitimate MVP. Sam Darnold can make a case legitimate MVP. You throw for 500 yards and overtime win. You're on Sunday Night Football throwing a touchdown in the last couple seconds. Now you do it on Thursday night. Falcons win that division. All right, I'm going to take a very fast commercial break. When I come back, I'll come back with hour 2 of Afternoon Delight. Stay tuned. My award-winning NFL Weekly Picks video is out. Now, don't watch it right now. This is just a small commercial break as I'm using the bathroom. More than likely, I'm fixing my hair. But make sure you do check it out. It's fantastic. As Afternoon Delight takes a commercial break, we remind you that BetUS is a proud affiliate. The video in the description below shows how easy and fast it is to collect your bonus. Click on the link in the description below and start winning today. All right. Excuse me. Hour one is in the books here. 2 more hours of Afternoon Delight coming. Great slate of games coming up. I am leaning towards making this Fantasy Football Friday, but I haven't done that yet. What I thought I would do is I kind of want Fridays to be kind of an open forum. I haven't had a chance to reach out, but there's several people I'd love to have on as guests. I was hoping down the line it'd be a show where I'd have more guests on, more of an open forum. But I do want to go over some of the games, some of the picks. I went through every single game, kind of made some notes as far as point spread changes. Nothing major. There's not any games where the point spread or the over under changed to really blow you away. I'm not putting any action down. However, when the Chiefs and the Saints play, the Chiefs have given up an opening score, I believe an opening touchdown in every single game this year they've played in. I've been taking advantage of that betting trend. So for Monday Night Football, if the Saints get the ball first or the Saints take an early lead, I'm definitely betting on Kansas City. I do like Kansas City to cover 5.5 flat out. That's a big number, but with injuries at linebacker for the Saints, I really like the Chiefs matchup at home on Monday night, but I'm not going to bet on the game. I am, however, keeping an eye out. I'll be doing live play-by-play during the game, so if the Saints do score first, which I firmly believe they will, then yeah, I'll put some action down. There is the only game. Well, I'm going to read some comments and then I'm going to get to this. I'll go ahead and read over this unless a lot of people have fantasy football questions. Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, but as far as trading him straight up for Najee Harris when the guy is hurting at running back, no, don't make that. Yeah. Full disclosure, I predicted a Falcons win, but I predicted 2016. I really thought this was going to be a low-scoring game. Really thought this was going to be a low-scoring game. If the Falcons can get their offense working on all cylinders, they can be a contender in the NFC. Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. The secondary is really good. The defense is solid. They just lack a pass rusher. And the more Matthew Judon plays, the bigger of an impact he'll have. But the thing is with Judon is the reason why he was so successful in Baltimore and then with New England is he can do a lot of different things. In Atlanta, they're asking him just to get after the quarterback. And even though he's very good at doing that, he's not one of these dudes who's, yeah, I know he's had big sack totals in his career, but he's not that dude who, is going to get the 15 plus sacks. He's better used as an all-around player. That was why I was so adamant that Atlanta used their first round pick on a pass rusher, because there was plenty to choose from, but they went quarterback instead. Maybe that will pan out because I love Michael Penix Jr. But yeah, there is a chance that for the first couple of weeks of the season, the offense just looks stuck. Not last night, but Tampa is missing a lot of players. If you go back and watch my picks video, I flat out say I want to pick the Bucks, but thanks to injuries, I'm going Falcons. By the way, you could point towards a blown face mask. You can point towards a fumble. Tampa came very. By the way, you could point towards a coin flip. You could just say, "Hey, you know what? Bucks win that coin flip. They do the same thing. They win." Yeah, the offensive talent's crazy. The offensive talent is crazy. The Saints look good this season as well. If they can stay healthy is the question. The offensive line's banged up. They have some injuries going into Kansas City. They could be in trouble because after that great start, there's a very good chance they're going to lose at Arrowhead and go 2-3. But even at 2-3, you're only one game back. So we'll find out. The things with Cousins is he can have a game where he looks like a franchise quarterback. Next couple of games, he looks average or worse. I've always thought Cousins is a solid dude, and he'll have games like this. But the one thing about Cousins is I've always wondered why. Remember in Washington they had RG3. By the way, for those of you who don't know, RG3 and Cousins were both drafted by Washington in the same draft, and Shanahan, he wanted Cousins. He didn't want RG3, but he was forced to by the owner. But even when RG3 hurt his ankle and left, they had Cousins. Cousins, by the way, go look up the Washington top single season leaders and passing leaders. The first two is Cousins. There's I think it was Theismann or Rippon threw for barely over 4,000 yards. Cousins almost had 5,000, and I think it was a 42 or 4,400 yard season. They just didn't want him, and I was like, okay, that's a bad franchise. He'll go to Minnesota. He'll be with Zimmer. Like this is going to work. Him and Zimmer did not like each other. Now I know Zimmer's a defensive-minded coach. I get that. Remember all you need is a quarterback in Minnesota and you're going to win the Super Bowl, and it didn't work out. He gets to Atlanta, and first thing they do is draft a quarterback. I've always wondered, because every time I see him on TV or interact with players and coaches, he looks like a dude that he looks like a good teammate, looks like a good player, but there's just a lot of weirdness there. So I don't know, but I do know this. There's never been a team except for Minnesota when they traded for him and it didn't work out there that said, hey, this is going to be our guy. I mean, Atlanta gave him all that money. I was like, oh, okay, he's going to be the guy. And then they draft the quarterback with the 8th overall pick almost instantly. Mooney dropped a wide open catch, either get Pitts more action. I agree completely, Denver Gator. I would 100%. Here's the drill. I would trade Pitts immediately because this next draft, this draft has a ton of defensive players. They have a ton of defensive players. You need to get after the quarterback. And the Falcons, I think, need another dude in Judon. I don't think you could trade Pitts for a viable pass rusher at the trade deadline. Teams have made trades with players before, player for a player, but I mean, Pitts is a guy that I would love to see Pitts in an offense like Kansas City. I mean, I would be salivating. It won't happen because the Chiefs have used draft capital and they like Noah Gray, but you could get a team, you know, that could use an option. The Rams, I think, would be a great fit. Can you imagine? Can you imagine Stafford with Pitts? By the way, for those of you who don't know, Denver Gator, Kyle Pitts went to Florida. Me and Denver Gator have been salivating over Pitts since he was a freshman at Florida. So, like, yeah, both of us have man crushes on the guy. I would, if I'm Atlanta, I would move him. I wouldn't wait and try to get the comp pick. I would trade him now. And here's the deal with both London and Mooney playing well. You know, you're addressing a need, and you need an extra pass rusher. Is there a chance that you could trade Pitts and get a pass rusher in return? They would do that. I just have a hard time seeing it happen. But is Pitts a guy that could be a guy that goes at the trade deadline? Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, it does feel like he's withering away. That's a great question. I would have called in London last night. Dan, let's go. Andre, I feel bad because I was like, no, Atlanta's offense is bad. I owe you guys an apology. But on my picks video, my award-winning picks video, bear with me here. I apologize. My eyes are not in good shape today. The one thing about Vegas is I've adapted to the heat, the dryness, does things to you. But Andre, I'm glad to see you back, brother. I feel bad. There's a lot of you guys that are like, oh no, don't start anybody in Atlanta. You can't trust them. And I think so. If Kansas City didn't invest so much into their tight end core already, I would suggest Kansas City would make a second. That would be like a hand in a glove, by the way. Pitts to Kansas City, and everybody would love that. But I could see a team, say, hey, look, we need an option. Cincinnati, I think, would be a perfect option. I know they signed Gesicki in the offseason, and they drafted Eric All in the 4th round. But, you have to understand, me and you feel the same way. Like Pitts, there's no ceiling on how good Pitts could be. And look, if you don't want to sign T. Higgins, you could sign Pitts. I think Pitts in LA would make a lot of sense. I was going to say, I kind of think Devontae Adams is going to the Jets, but if I was the Jets, I would inquire. They got to work things out with, Rodgers, cleared with Rodgers. Miami's another team. I know they signed Jonnu Smith, and they're using the tight end a little more, but Pitt's a different type of player. By the way, I could go through all 32 teams and say Pitts is a different type of player. I could do that over and over and over again. So, I think a team. If you're definitely a playoff contender, second. If you're not a playoff contender, third. A lot of teams. I think Juju Smith-Schuster. I think Kareem Hunt's going to be an excellent option for the Chiefs. I think he's going to have a great, 2 months, and then even when Pacheco comes back, I still think we'll see Kareem Hunt in the picture. I think Juju Smith-Schuster, who they picked up, I talked about this a few days ago. When he signed with Kansas City originally, his first season, he had 79 catches, over 900 yards. That's going to work out. They have a bunch of other guys that they were really high on at one point in time. Miracle Hardman was the 2nd round pick. Sky Moore was the 2nd round pick. Neither one of those guys has really panned out. That's why I think Juju Smith-Schuster is probably going to be the guy. Noah Gray, tight end that they drafted a couple years ago. They gave him a 3-year, $20 million extension. that's a guy that they're going to use more. They drafted a tight end in the 4th round, Jared Wiley. They're going to use him a little more. Justin Watson's a guy that the Chiefs love. Not a big name, but like on 3rd down, Justin Watson's like kind of a go-to guy. And then, of course, Taylor Swift's boyfriend will probably be used a little more. Doesn't have a touchdown yet. He will. Chandler, what's up, brother? Oh, man, great question here, man. I'm 3-1, but don't have much depth. Quarterback Stroud and Purdy. That's not bad. That's 2 really good quarterbacks. Okay, running back, CMC, yeah. Ford, Rashad White, Henry Brooks, wide receiver, Debo Evans, Rice Wicks. Oh, boy. Whittington, tight end, Goddard, and Ingram need running back help, but don't want to kill my number 2. Yeah, you all right. Well, first off, I'm guessing you started White, and you're going to start Henry and Ford your flex. The good news is I like the matchup with Ford quite a bit. I'm with Washington. I know the hype train's on full blast. I'm still not sold on their defense. I got a feeling Ford. Nick Chubb is not going to play. He's back at practice. He's not going to play. So until he comes back, Ford's a good option. If you've been listening, you've been hearing me tell people that it's going to be a while for like Derrick Henry's just not going to be the guy. Okay, he's not going to be the 25 touch area guy. Is it going to be this week, next week? So I like the Brooks. I like Brooks, but and I also like the fact you're 3-1 because, by the way, he's not even practicing. So, but I 100% understand you want to stash him. Hopefully, Evans got you 2 touchdowns. Hopefully, you played him. Debo could have a monster game. Winnington and Wicks. I'll be honest, you don't know. Ingram's been out, which is really, really weird. I think he's out this week too. I should know this. I should check that. I was looking at some of the other injuries. Listen is questionable 1 hour ago. Knock on wood. By the way, they need him, so hopefully it works. All right. Yeah, that's kind of that. Okay, so by the way, it's hard for me to suggest getting rid of either one of these quarterbacks, even though you just got one sitting on the bench. If you do get rid of either one of these guys, you got to get something really, really good in return. My suggestion would be that I'm not a fan of your receivers. I mean, you got Rice, you got to move on from him. So right now, it kind of looks like what you're doing is you're going Evans and you're banking on Debo. He's going to play. You may bank on either Whittington or Wicks having a good game, and then you could be a situation where you're selling high. I would strongly recommend that here's what I would do. All right. Is there anybody in your league that would give you something for CMC? You may be able to sucker somebody into that. You probably can't, but that's what I would recommend first off. Can you get anything for CMC? All right. Somebody needing a quarterback might give you something for Purdy. All right. I would keep Stroud. Personally, that personal opinion only, I would keep Stroud, but like, let's just say, hey, look, Dan, I'm gonna go with Purdy, and I'm gonna get massive value for Stroud. Okay, I get it. Because what I'm looking at on your team, I don't want you to get rid of any one of your quarterbacks, and you get something massive in return. Because I'm not trying to scare you, because you're 3-1. I want to help you win. I watched Bucky Irving look. The offense looked better with Irving than Rachaad White. I've been telling people, no, Rachaad White's going to be the guy. Okay. When Chubb comes back, Ford's going to go on the bench. Derrick Henry's not going to get 25 touches. This is why I really want you to keep Brooks as long as you possibly can. You do need some help. You have a good plan here. You could package your quarterback, and you could package a tight end. You could absolutely go for a home run and package Purdy and Goddard. I recommend if you package Purdy and Goddard, you get a low end tight end and an apps or a low end quarterback number 2. Trying to think here. Somebody like maybe Gardner Minshew or somebody like that. But you would have to get an absolute stud, an absolute number 1. You could do something like that. When I say number 1, it doesn't matter. It could be receiver. It could be running back. I think you need help on both. But I really, looking at your roster, I'm more worried about your receiving core than I am your running back, because I could see. You got to find something to do with CMC. All right. If you can't find anybody to give you anything for CMC, you may just want to drop them. You may luck out and maybe Kareem Hunt, Jalen Wright. Trying to think of somebody who might be a waiver wire guy that you can pick up. McLaughlin for Denver, one of the Raiders running backs. You may be able to get some garbage, something like that. My thought process is that what you may want to do, if Ingram comes back, Goddard's a legitimate tight end number 1. He's putting up some monster numbers. All right. My thought I don't want you to do this, by the way, but what you might want to do is package Purdy and Goddard, and you may have to get in. But if you do this, I would recommend you get a stud and a dud. All right. You need to get somebody big. Is James Cook available? You might be able to work out a deal, Purdy, for somebody like Travis Etienne, a guy that's you could buy low at this time, but I think Etienne's a guy with upside. You might be able to work out a deal and get somebody like maybe Kareem Hunt. You may move like Whittington, Wicks, maybe. I'm not sure. But I really want to upgrade your roster. You might be in a situation. You might have to just drop CMC and Rice and scour the waiver wire, and just grab some guys. You probably can't. You can't put together a trade. I think you got the right ideas that you're going to have to package Purdy. Here's the thing. When Ingram comes back, remember he had 108 catches last year. So when he comes back, if he's the same guy that he was, you're getting a tight end number 1. That's the positive. Here's what I'm saying. You need 2 players. If you trade 2, you really need to get 2. I really think you can move Purdy and Goddard and get. I really think, depending on what I don't know the league. I don't know what's going on in your league, but there's probably somebody who needs a quarterback. somebody, maybe you drafted Aaron Rodgers and it's disappointing. Is there any chance whoever drafted Justin Herbert's not doing well? That would be kind of the guy I would target, and then you may be able to make some sort of monster trade. That would be kind of my thought process. But whatever you do, don't do, because you got two guys that are out with CMC, and you can't do a 2-for-1 trade. You can't trade Purdy and Goddard for Barkley or CD Lamb. You need to get a dud in there. Who get a guy that maybe has started Gardner Minshew, Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson. I would scour your league and say, hey, look, I got Purdy's available. Here's how I would work the trade. I would say Purdy's available. I need some help. And then say, well, maybe that guy's got, I don't know, maybe that guy's got a really stud number one receiver, and then maybe he needs some help at tight end. That would be my thought process. You might be in a situation where if you got to do it now, Nick, here's the deal between Wicks and Winnington. One of those guys might be a buy or a sell high next week. But I would scour your league and throw up a sign saying, hey, look, Purdy's available. What can I get? And then I would try to fire Goddard as a big time, addition. Again, 2 for 2. So I hope I helped you out. I feel like I ranted and didn't give you a great answer. But stay in touch with me. I want to know how you do, because you're 3-1 and you're doing good. I'm assuming you started White. Ford's in good shape. Ideally, Henry gets you some points. You started Evans, I hope. Ingram has a big game, and Stroud lights it up for you. By the way, I predicted a shootout between Houston and Buffalo. So, Dave, great question. I'd trade Moon and Javonte for Bucky Irvin and Garrett Wilson if they take the trade. I'm leaning towards yes, and the reason why I say that is, Irving is, the offense just looked better, and it looked different with Irving in there. It really did. I have such a man crush on. I really want to tell you, no, don't do this, because I like Mooney and Javonte Williams, one of my all-time favorite. I love this kid. Why hasn't it worked out? I have no idea. Garrett Wilson numbers are going to go up. They are going to go up. It's just a matter of time. I really wish I could tell you no, but I probably would. I probably would make this trade. I'm assuming Bucky Irvin and Garrett Wilson. Let me ask you this here, because I'm behind on comments here. Because on paper, it looks like because of Mooney, you're in a situation where you're selling high. All right. You might be able to get more, but I do like this move. I actually really do, believe it or not. And the reason why I say that is there's a chance Garrett Wilson has a bad game. Minnesota's brutal defense. You never know what's going to happen in London. But I really believe that both these guys are ascending players, where Mooney's a sell high type of guy, and Javonte Williams, all the potential in the world, just things haven't panned out. You might be able to get more. Because on paper, I'll be honest with you, there's probably somebody in the chat, there's probably a lot of people in your league will tell you this is not a good trade. But I think what you're doing is you're selling high, and you're getting two players who are just ascending in value. That's why I like it. Armando Zepeda Jr. What's up, brother? Man, what's up, Dan? With Dixon probably out. Allen, Spears, Mossard on the bench. Drop Spears or Mossard for Akers or Tracy. I'm okay. I know you said Tracy. I'm assuming you meant Trey Sermon. I could be wrong about that, but I Trey Sermon I think is a great pickup if that's what you meant. Braylon Allen, I would not recommend. Spears is on a bye. So what you're asking is drop Spears. Okay, so I don't want you to drop Mozart because even though he's injured, I really think that when he comes back and with Huntley's improvement, and the plan is, listen, I'm against it, but the plan is for both Miami and Tua as he comes back to the team, and when Mozart comes back, like the production could be just crazy. I'm assuming you mean Trey Sermon, and if that's the case, I love dropping Spears for Trey Sermon or Akers, to be honest with you. If and by the way, if I'm just having a brain freeze here, but because when you say Tracy, I'm assuming you mean Trey Sermon because he's going to get to start. I think he's going to have a good game. I think he's going to have a really good game. So, but I think I would listen. Al Spears and Mozart drop Spears. I know he had a touchdown last week. Pollard's definitely the number one guy. I like Akers, but if it's Trey Sermon and you can get him, do it. I also don't have a problem with Akers this week. I know it's a tough matchup against Buffalo. I will say this: Trey Sermon, I think, is a guy that, in most leagues, I would recommend as a solid running back number 2. So, but hold on to Mozart because this is a guy that I didn't have a chance to check the injury report. I'm going to go through all the comments and questions, but keep an eye out on Mozart because if he does play, I know it's a tough matchup against New England. You may want to play him. If I didn't have a chance to check. Another thing is that going forward, Mozart could be a very viable option. So hold on to Mozart. Drop Spears for Akers. I'm assuming it's Trey Sermon. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But yeah, Trey Sermon's must I think almost a must start. As the league changes, Joe T could throw. The coaches at the time, the run game was dominant. Part throwing the ball is more like used to non-NFL pass first, run first. I love the fact that teams are becoming more running. I love the fact that defenses. I went through the point spreads, and I didn't go through all the over-unders, but there's several point spreads that are under 40, where last year you rarely saw an under 40, but you saw several over 50. I love it. I love it. It is so much fun. It is so much fun. I love it. Dave, do I start Kyler Murray or Justin Fields? Weather in Pittsburgh has changed from nice day and nice night. As much as I like Justin Fields, and I'm adamant that he should stay the starter in Pittsburgh, man. I know on the road against San Francisco sounds like a bad matchup. I'd still like Kyler Murray. I really do. I would go with Kyler Murray. Lots of positive about Fields. Okay. The more he plays, the better he gets. Had a really good game, against the Colts, fantasy wise. I think he hit over 300 at some rushing yards. I would go with Kyler Murray. I know the matchup is better for Fields at home against a bad defense, but it's a talented defense. I have to admit, though, I like playing guys in late primetime games, especially Monday night, but Sunday night, it's a big advantage. It's not a big advantage. I like it better. Yeah, I like it better. That said, I would go with Kyler Murray. I listen. I got a feeling this is going to be a close game. I know the line. So let me see here. Let me bring out my spreadsheet because I don't remember if this one changed or not. Yeah. The line's gone down a little bit. Went from 8 to 7.5, which means that there's minor action on Arizona, and I'm leaning towards Murray. I really think Murray could have a really. I thought he would blow up Washington. I really did. I really did. I know there's some problems on the offensive line. I get that. I still think Murray. I would. I now. So what it is? They picked up a guy by the name of Jody Fortson. He was a former receiver that switched over to tight end. Then the Chiefs released him. He was with Miami. Miami cut him, I think, in preseason. And Chiefs always really liked this dude. Matter of fact, he had one preseason. He was just dominating, and they elevated him to like tight end number 2. They were really going to use him a lot. And then it's like first regular season game, last preseason game, breaks his leg, and it was just devastating. Chiefs just picked him up. They drafted the dude in the 4th round that they like a lot, and they also gave money to Noah Gray, a guy that maybe you don't know about. But would I take Pitts in Kansas City? Absolutely, I would. I would take Pitts, and to be honest with you, I would still keep. I would do something crazy. I would do something I don't think any NFL team would do, and I would have 5 tight ends on my roster. But I say that because Kelsey is a tight end in name only, and Pitts would be a tight end in name only, and both these guys would be wideouts. But would I take Pitts? Pitts in Kansas City would be amazing. Pitts in Kansas City would be amazing. I honestly, if I had the option, I would seriously consider a second, but I would want something back with Pitts. Like I would want a second and then like a 6 in the Pitts or 5th that could be a 4th. I would play hardball like that. I wouldn't just give up a second, but like a second round pick for the Chiefs, because let's face it, they're going to pick like in the 60s, probably low 60s. I would consider that, but I would want something in return. Would I end up pulling the trigger on my second round pick for Pitts? Probably. That said, I mean, there was some medical issues. I also want to find out like what's going on. Like, a lot of teams, a lot of teams coaches talk. I promise you that there's a coach on Kansas City that knows one of the coaches in Atlanta. I'd be like, why isn't this guy used more? There has to be a reason he was shut out. Like there's got to be something more than just, oh well, there's got to be something there. And I'd want to find all these things out before you give up a high draft pick, which a second round pick would be a very high draft pick. So, but could I see Kansas City giving up a second, getting like a 5th in Pitts in return? Sure. And the thing is with Atlanta is that this draft coming up, you got a lot of pass rushers, and if you lose if you lose Judon because he's a 1-year rental, right? You gave up a 3rd for him, and if he's a 1-year rental, you're looking at at least getting a 3rd, right? But you really would ideally want a second. But bottom line, like you want to draft a pass rusher, maybe 2, maybe 3. I mean, you want to do something more. Yeah. All right, sorry guys. I went on a rant here and I got some questions. I want to make sure I answer everybody today. Little love here. Rhinos Roundtable. What teams could be biggest upsets? Man, please watch my video. I got several. By the way, Rhinos Roundtable, not saying my picks video is better than anybody's, but I will say this. I picked Atlanta to win, and Keaton with Keaton Talk Sports picked Tampa to win. I'm not saying mine's better. At Denver Gator, what are your thoughts on Las Vegas versus Denver game? So Denver Gator has been public. He says that the Raiders are probably going to win by 30. I think so too, Perry. I tried to argue that for a long time. I tried to argue that for a long time, but I mean, when Kirk Herbstreit said it just, he's right. I mean, the offense just looks different, man. And I'm a huge Rashad White dude. But yeah, it looks so different. Man, thank you so much, Barry, by the way. Like it's super. Oh, the Purdue Iowa guy switched from receiver. Okay. I'm sorry. And it was funny because I was trying to think of like who that running back was. By the way, like they like Singletary in New York quite a bit. And by the way, against that depleted defensive front, I think Singletary is going to have a good game. I really think he's going to have a good game. So, that said, because I thought you were getting Trey Sermon, so I'm sorry, man. No, hold on here. Where was your comment at? All right, yeah. Because I like the kid because this is really weird because he's a former receiver that they're moving to running back. And one thing about Singletary is that he's been getting a little banged up, but I like him in a PPR league. I'll be honest with you, if you dropped Spears and picked up Tracy, I wouldn't hate that, but I definitely want you to keep Mozart for right now. For this week, Akers definitely. For the rest of the year, Tracy's a low-end guy because they're using him more and more. And if Singletary goes down, the one thing about Tracy is that I think he's got more. Here's the thing. I love Singleton. Okay. Absolutely love Singleton. The one thing about him is I remember at the combine, he ran like a 4.7. And he doesn't have that home run speed. Tracy actually does have that. He don't get me wrong. He doesn't have that like 4.3 speed. I mean, he's not even like Saquon Barkley, but he's a guy he's got more speed than Singletary. I might seriously long term I'm talking the rest of the year. You might want to go Tracy over Akers. This week, I would go Spears for Akers. Hold on to Mozart, though. I can't emphasize that enough. I know Spears had a touchdown, but they're just kind of phasing him out. So, I'm sorry, man. I dropped the ball here. That's me. Benched White, started Evans. Okay, awesome. Have Wicks in my flex. The two people that need a quarterback, I'll make some players. Yeah. Walker, Robinson, Diggs, DJ Moore, Najee is the first team only players he's got worth trading for. Second one is A-Chain, Javonte, Reed, Wilson, Dobbin. Okay. All right. I'm going to give you two guys here. Dobbins. Actually, I'll give you a couple. Listen, you might be able to work something out with this dude because Amari Cooper. Now, I think he could have a good game. I've been saying this. Amari Cooper against Washington could have a good game, but if he doesn't, I think it's a matter of time before he goes to Dallas and his value is going to go up. Etienne's a guy that, by the way, he could have a good game against a bad Colts team. You want to get Dobbins. Dobbins is a guy, as long as he's healthy, is going to be amazing. With the second team that you're looking at, I'm thinking Amari and Dobbins, and you might be able to work something out where I would feel him out, but find out which one he likes better. Dobbins. I have a feeling Etienne's going to have a good game, and then it's a situation where you have to spend a little more to get him. If he doesn't have a good game, grab Etienne. Dobbins is the guy that I would really focus on. As long as he's healthy, he's really a good number one. Not as much of a receiver as Etienne, but I really think they're going to use him more and more. Big injury risk. But I would kind of look at getting Amari Cooper and trying to get maybe Dobbins or Etienne. You might be able to get both those guys for Purdy by himself. That's kind of what I'm looking at. But that would be kind of what I'm looking at. That's kind of what I'm looking at. So you do have some options, but yeah, you have to kind of figure that out. Dan, our plan worked perfect, bro. We wanted to wait for a monster game from London, trade him for a running back. Which running back should I get? That is a I mean, honestly, you could get almost anybody. I'll love with you. You can get anybody. Okay, I'm gonna give you an idea here now. Ankle injury is a little weird because like you get Jonathan Taylor. I don't want you to get Jonathan Taylor and then he breaks down. Travis Etienne, I think, will have a good game, but I'm kind of like who could you kind of buy low on. I'm thinking maybe somebody like Aaron Jones. And the reason why I say Aaron Jones is that he may not have a good game against the Jets defense. Breece Hall may not have a good game. I would kind of focus on that because I think that London game could be ugly. It's a weird game. I would kind of watch that game because this might be a situation you go, hey, London, and I'll take Breece Hall, especially if Braylon Allen gets into that game. I'd also look at Aaron Jones, who I think will continue to have a monster game, barring injury. Another guy you have an injury concern with. James Cook is a guy that may struggle against a really tough Houston team. I'm predicting a shootout, so I could see a situation where he doesn't have a good game. By the way, I almost forgot Shakir's out. So James Cook, if he doesn't have a good game, and he may not at Houston, that would be a guy I would really circle because going forward, I think he's going to do well. Risky, but Kenneth Walker, injury prone. Really good defensive front in New York. If you watch my video, my biggest upset of the week is I have the Giants winning, and you may be in a situation where Kenneth Walker is bad. That would be a guy I would look at. Keep in mind with a couple guys hurt on the Steelers, I think Najee Harris has a big game. But if you're Dallas and you just load the box and say, hey, look, I'm going to bank on Justin Fields trying to beat us through the air. Najee Harris has a bad game. That would be another dude. The guy I think that could have a bad game, and I hate to say this, but I don't hate to say it. kind of looking at Alvin Kamara. The Chiefs defense has been playing really good. And I think what Kansas City is going to do this game is I really think that with the banged up offensive line, I think that what they're going to do is load the box and try to take Alvin Kamara out, and they'll say, hey, look, you're going to have to win this game in a shootout against Mahomes. there is a chance. I don't want to get your hopes up, but if Alvin Kamara has a bad game, that might be the guy you can grab. So, Harry, I hope we embarrass the Raiders, but that's just me. Probably a low-scoring game as Adams playing. The Raiders are like a 9-game win streak versus the Broncos. Adams is going to play. Max Crosby isn't. There was some talk on social media that Max Crosby, there's some things going on, and then Raiders fans are like, no, you're just mad. It was Mike Lombardi who was fired by the Raiders. Like, no, you're just a hater. And I really think that there is something going on because Max Crosby usually, if he can breathe, he can play. And it's like, I forget if it's an ankle or a hamstring, but it's kind of like there's a lot of things like just seem to be kind of falling apart with the Raiders. And Adams is out. Okay, I should have known that. Did not know that. Let me do this here. Let me put the Raiders injury report. Zamir White. Okay, by the way, Zamir White is out. I didn't know that. Michael Mayer out. Devontae Adams out. Did not know that. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm giving you some bad information. One of you was asking about Zamir White. Zamir White is out. I did not know that. So for those of you, listen, fantasy football, Alexander Madison, start him, if you have him. I didn't know that. I dropped the ball here, guys. Yeah, I didn't know this. I'm very sorry. I'm listen, man, I screwed up. And by the way, if Adams was a New York Jet, he would be playing. Just throwing that out there. Would it be smart to package Henry for 2 running backs or maybe like a Jacobs or Tiger? Oh, I think it might be. Now hold on here. This week you are starting. I want to be very clear here. You need to start Derek. You are starting Derrick Henry, right? I wouldn't blame you if you did package him for a 2 running back deal. But don't do it this week. I didn't know White was out until just now, so I kind of dropped the ball. But you're talking Rashad White. I got my Whites mixed up, but yeah. Seriously, you could do something like that. I'm going to level with you. If you could, I'm going to level with you. If you could get Derrick Henry for Josh Jacobs and Tyreek Hill together, that would be a steal because Tyreek Hill's production is just going to go up. And I think Josh Jacobs' production, I actually think he's going to have a decent game. Spoiler alert. Please watch my video, Chandler. If you didn't, please watch my weekly picks video. But I did. I'll give you a spoiler alert. I picked the Rams in an upset. If that happens, you may be able to get Jacobs and Tyreek Hill cheap. Where I don't know if it's going to be this week or coming up, but sooner or later, Derrick Henry's not getting those 25 touches. But if this week he does get the 25 touches, keep him. So. At Denver Gator, LOL, Las Vegas is still the model of chaos and dysfunctional. The AFC West is lucky. The Las Vegas owners are class. I'll be honest, I like Antonio Pierce. I really do. And I thought that after the job he did last year, you had to give him a chance. But the one thing that they messed up on is that they wanted. I completely forgot Antonio Pierce was at Arizona State the same time Jaden Daniels was, and that was why there was such a love affair between the guys. And keep in mind, because he won so many games, they picked 13th, so they couldn't get up to 2. Or if they were maybe a 5-12 team, they might have been able to swing a deal. One thing about the Raiders is that they are going to move Devontae Adams. They are going to get the draft capital, and they're going to make a move for a quarterback. Could it be a quarterback in free agency? And I think that's definitely a possibility. I do think it is a possibility. I mean, if I'm the Raiders and I could maybe get Bryce Young on the cheap and I can build an offense around him, great. Luke Getsy is not the answer at offensive coordinator. I think that was just they couldn't find anybody else. They need to get somebody in there, and I think they need a new offense completely. I mean, I don't know why Michael Mayer is out, and it's personal reasons. That's never like there's something going on. I mean, it could be a death in the family. I don't know. But when an NFL player misses games for personal reasons, I instantly think that he's – by the way, this is a guy who was a high second-round draft pick. And what do you do the very next year after you don't use him right? You draft Brock Bowers. It would not surprise me if Mayer's like, dude, just get rid of me. I'm just going to sit out for a while. And if I'm the Raiders, I do it because, I mean, you drafted Brock Bowers. You need draft capital. But I mean, I have to admit, I liked Pierce. I thought Getsy was a mistake. And then the simple fact that they were not able to get their quarterback in the draft. Sam Darnold might be a free agent. He only signed a 1-year deal. They drafted a quarterback. I mean, there's you don't. By the way, getting draft capital doesn't mean you have to draft a quarterback, but it does mean that you may have to trade for somebody. I mean, I'm throwing out Bryce Young. I mean, I think the Raiders would be crazy, but I've seen weirder things. Maybe they want to go after Tua. I would not recommend it, but maybe they do. I have no idea. At one point in time, Carson Wentz was a viable option at MVP. He's backing up Mahomes in Kansas City. I mean, he's on 1-year deal. I would wait through free agency, but maybe, hey, look, hey, Kansas City, I'm spitballing. By the way, I don't think Kansas City would do that, but I could see the Raiders trying to make a move for Daniel Jones, believe it or not. I say this because Getsy likes quarterbacks with running ability. I mean, Daniel Jones does have ability. It's just Sam Howell, who's riding the bench in Seattle, I think can start in the National Football League. I mean, he had some good games in Washington last year. He had some good games. But yeah, I have to admit I didn't know Zamir White and Devontae Adams was out. That's on me. I dropped the ball. I messed up. All right. Guys, I'm going to answer any and all questions. I am going to take a quick commercial break. When I get back, I'll be back for hour 3 of Afternoon Delight. Stay tuned. My award-winning NFL Weekly Picks video is out. Now, don't watch it right now. This is just a small commercial break as I'm using the bathroom. More than likely, I'm fixing my hair. But make sure you do check it out. It's fantastic. As Afternoon Delight takes a commercial break, we remind you that BetUS is a proud affiliate. The video in the description below shows how easy and fast it is to collect your bonus. Click on the link in the description below and start winning today. Yes! Hour 2 is in the books. We're here for the final hour of Afternoon Delight. Yeah, if you're new to this show, I will be doing Chiefs live play-by-play and reaction on Monday night. Very excited about that. So join the show on Monday night. Of course, I'll be advertising that Monday. So Monday you'll get a double dip of me. I'll be live for the show, and then an hour later, I'm going to do the Chiefs play-by-play. So I'm kind of excited about that. Monday's going to be great. Really, really, really looking forward to that. I want to make sure I answer any and all questions. So from John G to Maylock to McGoof, AP needs to turn his franchise around quickly. No. And by the way, man, I apologize. I kind of dropped the ball a little bit here, but I want you to stay in touch and let me know how you do here. And let me know what trades you are able to make. I promise you, I'm going to do everything I can to help you win your fantasy league. You're 3-1. You're off to an awesome start. But because you have CMC and you have Rice, let's just keep improving your roster, keep getting those wins going. What I like, though, is that come playoff time, if you got Jonathan Brooks on the bench and he starts playing and starts balling out, you have a really good chance. I want you to win your league. I'm going to do everything I can. Michael Hart Jr., what's up, brother? Rico Dowdle, Justice Hill, or Tyrone Tracy in a full PPR league. That is a good one. I think Singletary's going to have a good game. I think Tracy's more of a home run threat, former receiver turned running back, interesting option. That's interesting. Seattle's whole defensive line was injured. I don't know who's playing. Let's take a quick look. I'm going to rule out Dowdle completely against the Steelers. Now, last time I said that, he had a touchdown on Thursday night. But, okay, so Byron Murphy's out. Cameron Young's out. But it looks like Nwasu and Williams are going to play. Boy Mafe is questionable. Still have banged up front. So, I mean, the thing is with Tracy is that I do believe that this will be a week that they just kind of lean on Singletary. I know he got hurt last week. He's listed as doubtful right now. Ooh. I was expecting him to play, but I also was expecting Neighbors to play. So I've been kind of dropping the ball there. Against Dallas, four carries, 2 yards. That's never good. 1 reception for 19 yards. I'm going to level with you, though. I was expecting Singletary to play, but doubtful's not a good deal. And you have a banged up defensive line there in Seattle. I'd rule out Dowdle against a really tough Steelers defense. Justice Hill's a gamble because sooner or later they're going to lower the touches for Derrick Henry, and they're going to increase the touches for Justice Hill. This is going to happen. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when, because you can't have those type of touches. Plus, you also want to put yourself in a situation where Derrick Henry is healthy for the playoffs. Now, this is a big game at Cincinnati, but I mean, 6 catches, 78 yards, and a touchdown last week. Nothing really on the ground. All right. Dowdle completely off. It's a question between Hill and Tracy. Singletary plays, Tracy's a no-go. If Singletary is out, I think you have to play Tracy. He's doubtful. That's kind of where you're at. I'm not going to give you the best answer, but I mean, you have till Sunday. So, and the best part is that you could play. Let's say you have, depending on how your league goes, but usually what they do is that you don't have to start the players till they play. Well, Hill will play early, right? Well, you got to play Hill Sunday. I get that, but you can go between Tracy and Dowdle later in the week or later in the day. I would hold off because I would go with either Hill or Tracy, and if Singletary's out, go with Tracy. If Singletary plays, go with Hill. Not giving you the best answer, but yeah, keep an eye out because I was expecting Singletary to have a big game. I was expecting him to play. I was also expecting Neighbors to play. So that's where I'm at. But you may just want to go with Tracy no matter what. Hopefully it helps you out, Mike. But do keep an eye on Tyrone Tracy because if it's his first start against a banged up defense, I like him. I do. And also because he's a former receiver, both Singletary and Tracy are good out of backfield. But I mean, Tracy played several years as a college receiver, so. It's a half PPR league. I was thinking of trying London for Bree. Yeah, that's what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. That's smart. By the way, he could have a bad game against Minnesota. And if that's the case, you can make that move and it'll work out. I'm so glad to help, man. I like the Ram upset too. Pains me to say though, as a Packers fan. I didn't know you're a Packers fan. That's kind of my upset pick. LaFleur coached under McVay. McVay's had some luck against some of his former guys in the past. So that's kind of Shanahan being one of them. That's kind of my thought process behind it. But yeah. The Smitty. I love the name, man. That's a cool thumbnail too, man. Unfortunately, I would go with Sermon. Sermon's getting the start. Ramondre may be getting benched. I love Ramondre Stevenson. Sermon definitely a better matchup, and also may start. Now, keep in mind if the Patriots just said that about the because Gerald Mayo went public about benching in for Antonio Gibson because of the fumbling. It could just be a message, hey, look, and then he could blow up against Miami and you'll hate me. But Sermon against a bad Jaguars team, yeah, I would go Sermon. Over who? Noah Gray is I'm leaning towards no, but here's the drill. The Saints, two of their starting linebackers, I think, are out. Demario Davis hasn't played. And I really think that what Kansas City is going to do is use their tight ends and running backs in the passing game. Noah Gray is one of those guys who's going to have like 600-700 yards and 4 to 6 touchdowns. Sooner or later, he's going to put up a score. I don't know if this is the week or not. What are your options? I mean, because I'll be honest with you, this is a tight end I would not start under normal circumstances, but you have to have some bad tight ends to start them. To be honest with you, yeah. No. We talk about listen, all questions are answered, anything goes. So God, we have some God. I guess I did rant about the Raiders a little more. I didn't realize I ranted so much. I drink a lot of energy drinks, the Smitty. I get amped up, but yeah, I rant. Okay. Start one between A-Chain, Zach Moss, Alexander Madison, or Cam Akers, full PPR. Well, I just found out Madison's going to get the start. I'm leaning. I don't. You never know what you're going to get with A-Chain. I'll be honest. Zach Moss has been splitting touches with Chase Brown, but the thing is about the Ravens is that the defense. This isn't the same Ravens defense. Cam Akers is I think definitely getting the start. Now keep in mind it's a tough matchup against it's a tough matchup against the Buffalo Bills. All right, but he is getting a start. Let me just double check here because I'm pretty sure Mixon is out. Yeah. Okay. I'll level with you. I think the best player out of these guys is probably Moss. I'm leaning towards Akers this week, even though the Bills have a good defense. I think Akers would be the way to go. Madison's going to get a lot of touches this week with White out. I think Moss is going to have a really good game. I really, really, really believe that. I really think Moss is going to have a good game. I think, yeah, I'd go with Akers because Akers, out of all these guys, I think Akers is the most likely going to be the guy that they're going to lean on. Now, Madison is going to get started over White, but they got Amir Abdullah. I could see Denver just loading the box and just saying, hey, beat us, Minshew. Javonte Adams is out. So yeah, I would go Akers. I didn't realize I vented too much. Yeah, I keep an eye out. I was expecting. So, by the way, I was wrong a lot here. I was telling people, yeah, Jonathan Taylor's going to play. No, he's out. Oh, Neighbors are going to play. He's out. Yeah, and that's the case. Go with Tracy, but yeah. Cliff, man, God, I'm glad to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time, brother. I know you're not into this fantasy football stuff, so I try not to, but I rant and I try to be thorough. I'm sorry, brother. I'll try to be faster in the future, but I get amped up. I'm on energy drink number 2. I try not to. I'm working on it. So, this to me is easy. And this is one I might put action on and I might put a tiny bit of action straight up. I like the Giants. Really banged up defensive line that played on Monday versus even though Neighbors is out, Singletary's out, the offensive line is solid. Believe it or not, Daniel Jones played pretty good, and then he played on Thursday. You can get 7. I like the Giants. Another game I low key like. I'm going to fire out a few, but I like Kansas City, of course. But I don't know if you've been paying attention, but Kansas City's given up an opening score every single game, so I'm not betting on that game. I'm going to count on this trend to continue and do some in-game betting, which I've done the last couple of weeks with Kansas City. And I hope to see you on my live stream Monday night. I'm going to do play-by-play with the Chiefs, but I really like in-game betting with Kansas City. They give up a score and they're 4-0. I mean, that's money. That's just money in the bank. I like the Giants to cover 7. I really do. A short week for Seattle. Thursday game for the Giants. I know they got some guys out. By the way, I would hold off on that line. You may be able to get 7.5. I also like Carolina on the road. I would never take them straight up. but you can get 4. I like that. And then you've heard me already say I like the Rams in an upset. Do check out my picks video because I have those are upsets. I also have Cleveland in an upset. I was expecting more than 3. I really thought this line would go up. It didn't. But depending on which lines you use, BetUS has 3. You may be able to find 3.5. You know I love the hook. When it comes out that Flacco starts, I'm expecting Jacksonville to get the hook. Right now it's at 3. It may drop to under 3 if Flacco starts. But yeah, I mean there's a lot of favorites that I like to bet against, but I really like the Giants to cover 7. I really do. A short week versus a long week. A defensive line that was just decimated. I know 2 of their big time players on offense may be out, but the matchup that I like is a banged up offensive line against a really good front 7 from the Giants. I mean, that front 7's really good. By the way, they played really good against Jaden Daniels. So the Giants defense is pretty good. I'll be honest with you. I like the Giants defense more than I like the Seahawks defense. I really, really do. So you can get 7 points. That would probably be my favorite. Lot of other games that a lot of other upsets. So Dable should be gone on Black Monday. I do agree. Dable was my number 1 coach on the hot seat. The way things are going, Peterson needs to get a few wins very, very fast. They need to get some guys very, very fast. Oh God, yeah. Okay, yeah. I would like to tell you there's better options than Noah Gray. The one thing I will tell you is Noah Gray get it. You are going to get you won't get skunked. I really think he's going to be used a little more in offense. But oh God, yeah, that's tough. Yeah. I'm hoping you do have a spot open on your roster. So I'm working on this, by the way. Yeah, I actually think that if they go 0-5, that he could be gone this week. I really do. I could just see them saying, "Hey, look, it's 0-5. We're just going to move on now." I really could say it. I'm going to pull up their schedule. Their bye is week 12. But honestly, because here's the way their schedule works is that they have 2 games over in London. You may just want to make the move before you go to London. And I know that sounds crazy, but they're used to going out there, and they just may want to say, "Hey, look, let's just Doug Peterson's not going to go. We're going to play a couple games in London." By the way, these are winnable games too. I mean, you got Chicago and New England. By the way, you beat the Colts. He's not getting fired, obviously, after a win. There is a chance that they win both games in London. Then you come back, you have a home game against Green Bay, and you're 3-4, and life's good. Tracy is going to be mega chalk in DFS. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on DFS. I've heard that term so many times, and I'm just drawing a complete blank. Oh, okay. I do like Tracy. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to help. I gave you the Lions last week. By the way, Smitty, this is something I'm working on. I am working on this. I drink a couple energy drinks. I rant. There's a guy, he's not in here today. It used to be, hey, if you want to stop the show, just bring up a random player from the 80s or 90s and Dan will rant for like 10, 15 minutes. I am working on this. You're not the first person to say something. You're not going to be the last. And also, I don't want you to you can be critical of me anytime you want. I'm not that. I can be hypersensitive about some things. I'm not so thin-skinned that you said something bad about me, go away. I'm not that guy. So yeah, I'm working on this. Yeah, Cliff. There was several things. I remember when they had a 3 and out, they ran Gibbs up the middle twice, and then they ran Montgomery on a sweep, and they gave the ball back. And luckily, I think that it was a turnover, and then the very next play was the big Jameson Williams touchdown. But I remember like, oh God, if they mess that up. And there was a few times when here's the deal. Like if I'm an underdog, I want Dan Campbell as my coach, but I've been warning Lions fans that there's a big difference by being an underdog and being a favorite. And I really, really wonder if they can handle being a favorite. Because the one thing about Detroit, I would really like to see them do on offense is quit being so cute. You have this offensive line. You got 2 really good running backs. You know, it was funny because one of the Lions fans came in. He's like, "Oh man, did you see that? You know, David Montgomery just trucked him and he badass. Well, why are they running Gibbs more when you got a guy doing that? Like, it doesn't make any sense." But yeah. Yeah. Goff should have thrown the ball. Yeah, I agree completely. Now, keep in mind, intentional grounding in the end zone is a safety. But yeah. I think you know what? I've been wrong on so many guys this week. I'm giving people all sorts of bad advice. Let's just take a look. He's not even on the injury report. So I know, but he's not even on the injury report. And I, by the way, as long as he's playing, he's I think a must start. But no, he's not even on the injury report. So yeah. I dropped the ball. Like I just, but I'm too busy, taking 10 minutes on every question, so no, he's playing. So if you tuned in late, I dropped the ball here. Jonathan Taylor's out. Neighbors is out. Zamir White for the Raiders is out. Devontae Adams is out. So, yeah, I dropped the ball. And I am toying around with having this be – I wanted to keep Fridays open, but I'm leaning towards having Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday being, fantasy football days. So, yeah, I mean, Godwin solid. I it was funny because I have to work during the game, and then I go home and the first thing I do is watch the game, which it drives me nuts because I already know what's going to happen before I watch the game, but I watch the game in full. It's one of my little pet peeves, but the guy told me Baker had 3 touchdowns. I was like, God, it's not even first half. Jesus Christ. I was expecting a low scoring game. He's like, yeah, it doesn't look like that. And I'll say, Godwin get one? He's like, no. Evans got 2. I don't know who the third one went to. And I was like, oh, wow. But I mean, Godwin's a guy that is always going to get you something. So I did not see a shootout, by the way. I did not see a shootout. But if you check out my picks video, I did pick Atlanta to win. Now, there is some people, I'm not going to mention anybody by name, like Keaton, who picked Tampa Bay to win, but just throwing that out there. I'm just throwing it out there, that I picked Atlanta to win. Some people like Keaton pick Tampa. Just throwing that out there. I do think Kansas City gives the young tight end they picked in the draft more reps. They're already getting him more involved in the offense. What they're doing right now is they're getting him on the field when they go 3 tight end sets, and they're just kind of getting him involved in the offense. You have to understand one thing about the Chiefs is that the Kansas City Chiefs offense is extremely complicated. If you ever played football before, whether it's Pee Wee or high school or even if you played in college level, the Kansas City Chiefs offense is something completely unique and different. It's not like a standard offense. What it is that when every player gets to the line of scrimmage, every player has options on what they're going to do based on the defensive scheme. And the receiver has to be on the same page as Patrick Mahomes. You know, it's not like, hey, I'm getting. By the way, they even talk about this. They're like Travis Kelce and Mahomes. A lot of times they just do things that's not even practice. They line up and they just do things. And I've seen them like on the sidelines. You know, they go like, man, we didn't even practice that. And you know, they know each other. They're able to read the defense. It's a very confusing offense. So getting him out there, what they're trying to do is just get him acclimated with the NFL game. The one thing about the NFL is that it's not the same game as college. It's really not. It's a lot different. Basketball, hockey, baseball, it's just bigger, stronger, faster. The NFL is a really different thing. One of the things I like is you get a guy who worked at USC last year in Cliff Kingsbury. You bring him over as the offensive coordinator for Washington. That explains why Jaden Daniels has had a lot of success. But one of the things I want to emphasize is that him, excuse me. Sorry about that. One of the things I want to emphasize is that might not be sustainable, but what they're doing in Washington, which is a lot different than what they're doing in Chicago, is that in Washington, they're running more of a college style offense. It looks like in Chicago, they're running more of a pro style offense and kind of just throwing them into the wolves. And the only time he looks comfortable is when he's just, improvising and going off of instinct. But he's going to get, to answer your question, even though I might spend 10 minutes here. They're going to give him more reps. He's wildly gifted. He's a former college quarterback that switched to tight end. Same thing as Travis Kelce. Same thing as Noah Gray. You can see there's a pattern here. Is he going to be the number 2 guy? Is he, is he going to be, I'm sorry, I kind of ranted out of myself there. Is he going to be number 2? No. But are the Chiefs going to use more 13 personnel? Absolutely. And also kind of like with Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt's a bigger dude. Like this is a 230-pound back. Samurai P. Ryan's a 230-pound back. And both these guys can catch the ball. So when you go 13 personnel, you have a big running back, you have 3 tight ends, but all 3 of these guys can split out and become wide receivers. So is he a viable option in fantasy football? The answer is no. But he's not yet. But if Noah Gray goes down or, knock on wood, it doesn't happen. But, I mean, Kelce turns 35 tomorrow. 35. No tight end in the history of the game has been better at 35 than 25 or 28. I mean, so yeah, he's going to get a little more playing time. I could see a situation where Travis Kelce, takes more breathers and he'll be number 2 tight end if they go 12 personnel. But right now, what they're doing is really smart. They're just using him when it's 13 personnel. They're asking him to block. They're asking him to run some low key option routes, and it's working out well. At the time, the Lions looked like the same old Lions. We got lucky that KJ got the interception. Ben Johnson needs to smarten up play calling. Has Kansas City given up on? No. That Kansas City is still really, really high on the kid. What matter of fact, it was funny. Like I saw something on social media where they talked to him and they said, "Listen, just kind of." They gave him. I forget what it was, but they're like, just it was something just like just remember football's football, and because it looks like he's just kind of overthinking out there. It kind of looks like he's just overthinking. No. The way it looks right now is he's going to be a big part of the Chiefs going forward because he's an undrafted rookie free agent. I mean, you don't pay him much of anything. You gave Travis Kelce some extra money. Probably shouldn't have, but you did. Mahomes, of course, is making $500 million. That's actually a genius contract the way it's worked out, and it benefits Mahomes and it benefits the Chiefs organization the way it's structured. I don't want to rant on and on about it, but it's really smart. You gave Chris Jones was it like 30 or 35 million a year? He got a new deal this year. So you have to make cost cuts elsewhere. You brought CEH back on a 1-year deal, and he missed 4 games. The Chiefs actually weren't required to pay him because it's a non-football injury list, but the Chiefs paid him. Kind of cool. He's coming back. Kareem Hunt's here for this year, but after the season, but no, Kansas City's not giving up on this kid. When you have a young, viable option, who's cheap, and by the way, I can't speculate, but my guess is that even though he's an undrafted rookie free agent, my guess would be that he's not the guy that after the season's over, like, oh no, I need a new deal. I mean, he might be, but one thing about a guy like that is that in a place like Kansas City, having a pet alligator, I mean, that's kind of cool. Maybe you feel better at Jacksonville, but bottom line, a place like Kansas City, he would get like endorsements and some deals like that, or maybe he wouldn't be able to do that, somewhere like, New York, for example, or LA. It might be a good fit, but the answer is no. Denver Gators, my boy, man, you know the drill by now. Like, subscribe, and even share. It by the way, it would mean the absolute world to me, by the way. Absolute world. Thank you, Denver Gator. It's funny. I kept on saying it's going to be Snead instead of Jones because Snead's younger, and Snead was so important last year because they use him all over. Snead, his final year in college, they actually asked him to play safety. So when Chiefs first got him, I was wondering if he was going to play safety or corner. But I really thought it was going to be Snead because he's younger. He's so versatile. But no. And so anyway, people were telling me that Snead has a bad knee. And that was a big part of it, where Chris Jones is just, even though he's been in the league, I think it's year 10 or 11, he doesn't have any injury issues. I hate that. I know it's going to sound crazy, but there's a chance when everything's said and done, Chris Jones may be the best defensive player to ever play for the Chiefs. I think he's that good. I really do. And by the way, there's some of the greatest players of all time. Buck Buchanan, Pro Football Hall of Fame, the NFL All 100 team. Buck Buchanan's on it. Bobby Bell, NFL All 100 team. He's on it. Willie Lanier, NFL All 100 team. He's on it. There's a chance that when everything's said and done, Chris Jones is the best defensive player to ever wear a Chiefs uniform. He's that good. Me too. All right. Listen, guys, I'm going to answer any and all questions. But I'm caught up right now. Before the show ends, I'm going to answer everything. I'm going to go over some of these games briefly. There's not a lot of change, but there's some minor changes that I am going to touch base on. I'll also, I encourage you to please check my picks video out. What I do is I keep the picks video relatively short. It's under 6 minutes. I just rapid fire through my picks, give you a really brief definition. And then what I'd like to do, if time wasn't an issue, I would make longer videos just on each game. I would really love to dive into detail. Unfortunately, I have a job I do, and then I do YouTube. I'm not a full-time YouTuber, at least, not yet. But I would love to go in more detail. If you have a question about a game, I would love nothing more than dive into more detail. Oh yeah. I'll do. So what's going to happen is I'm going to do a recap on Monday. We're on the same time zone, so we're both on the West Coast, me and Perry. So for here, it'll be 1 to 4, and then I'll take a 1 hour break, and then after the 1 hour break, it'll be like almost an hour and a half. It'll be about an hour and a half, and then an hour and a half will go by, and then I'll do Monday Night Football. And then the picks video will still come out. Will come out Tuesday. So, yeah. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time. So double dip a Dan on Monday, but no Dan on Sunday. Even though there's no Chiefs game on Sunday, I'm shutting my phone off. I'm shutting my computer off. I'm not waking up early, but I got the London game on DVR. I'm going to watch that like right away. I have the NFL Sunday ticket, so I'm not sure which game I'm going to watch. Normally I watch the Red Zone. I may actually just watch a game. I may just bounce around. There's a good chance that I don't watch that first game until or I finish that first game before Sunday Night Football even starts. But yeah, definitely. I use BetUS. If you check out in the description below, I make a $100 deposit in the BetUS. They have a promotion where $100 goes into $120. They promote a 25 or 125% bonus. The best part is it's up to first three deposits. You have different options on the promotion that you want to use. I go into the video. You can check it out for yourself. I took one where $100. They just add 20% up to $2,500. I thought that was great. 100 turned into 120. Right now, I have over $200 in my BetUS account. And that's off a $100 deposit, so that's kind of cool. So the numbers are used from BetUS. One thing is, even though I'm affiliated with BetUS, if you have a game that you really like, I always recommend kind of shopping around for the best numbers. I'm using BetUS. Now, I'm located here in Vegas. I am within walking distance of one sports book. I am a few miles away, and I have the mobile app for another one. I can go to different places, but I'm using BetUS. I recommend, if you have a game that you like, shop around for the best numbers. But I'm using BetUS. I can tell you, if you look at the video, everything's really simple and easy. I like their website. It's pretty awesome. They also have 24/7 support. So It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's like 6:30 or something. It is just for it 6:30. Yeah, I'm not waking up that early, Perry. There is a good so I'm gonna but whenever I do wake up, I'm gonna watch the London game. I have no idea which game I'm gonna watch because I normally I watch the red zone, but there's several different games I may watch. I may seriously just flip around and try to watch 4 or 5 games early, like the whole game, and then the afternoon game. Just wait. I mean, there's a good chance Sunday night football is going to be like halfway over, and I'm not even done with the early game. So, all right, I'm going to go over the games. Yeah, I'm not going to see. Yeah, one. Yeah. I know which one you're talking about, and I don't like it at all. And I'm not going to say who it is. I tried to reach out for them. They're like, no, you're not big enough. So, Sisu for you to like it's. So I'm here in Vegas. Perry is up north. Hopefully Perry doesn't mind I reveal that. I'm not going to say where up north. But for you to Vegas, so I'm assuming you're on the East Coast then, because it 9:30 or. Oh my God, you're kidding. I had no idea. That's awesome. Oh my God. Oh my God. I had no idea. I assumed you were in the States. It teaches me. So I have an international crew. This is so awesome. I cannot pronounce the name of the town. I used to be in the military, Army Reserves, and the way Army Reserves work, 2 weeks a year, you go active. I went active into Hollisfels. Anyway, I spent a couple weeks in Germany. Loved it. I was very young back then, very immature. I did not appreciate it. Now that I'm older, it's like, man, I got to go to a foreign country for free. And how cool is that? And by the way, I'd love to go back to Germany. I would love to go back to Germany. On social media, I subscribed just recently to a Switzerland channel or Switzerland Instagram page, and they like do these. Yeah, I want to go to Switzerland, Norway. I'd love to go back to. I had no idea. Oh God, yeah. I understand. I understand. If I don't have my my chart out in front of me, but if I am correct, if I'm correct, if you're in Germany, the game's going to be like at 3 in the afternoon. Am I correct? And then the early games are just brutal. There's a YouTube channel, Roar of the Lions, and one guy I'm a huge fan of, and I wanted to get him to come on. But last time I went on their show, they're like, okay, so if the Lions got into the Super Bowl, how much would they beat the Chiefs by? And it's like, no. No, you didn't even get there. I just get a trade offer. I give Wick. He gives Ramondre. I okay. Just right off the bat. I like it. I need a little more information. I need a little more information on your roster. I like it because I here's the deal with Wicks. All right, you got Reed, you got Watson, you got Ricks, you got Tucker Kraft, Josh Jacobs. You have a lot of different options there in Green Bay. You have a lot of different options. So it's always going to be a different guy every week. It's always going to be a different guy every week. Oh, this is Aiden. Oh, this is my buddy Aiden. I you know. Yeah, man. And by the way, I get it because last week he had 5 receptions, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns, but twice this week he's got nothing. Yeah, you want to make this move now. Keep in mind now you have this. Yeah, Barkley's fantasy football MVP. Kyron Williams, excellent. Justin Jefferson, you have to start every week. Olave, you have to play every week. You make this move. Now, keep in mind, I want to warn you, Stevenson was rumored to be benched by the coach because he's fumbled in his first 2 games. And their center is also out. Surgery. He tried to tough it out, and he's banged up. So you never know. I mean, you really never know in this type of situation. You are rolling the dice, but as long as he is the starting running back, you have a starter. With Wicks, this is a situation where you're selling high. I would make this move personally. I would not even think about it. I would make this move instantly because, look, I'm going to level with you. I would go with Jefferson. By the way, Aiden's a big Chiefs fan. So I know he's going like, look, I know you're a Chiefs fan, but you're starting Olave. The reason why is Devontae Smith's on a bye. All right. So oh shit, I forgot. Your Barkley's on a bye this week too. So yeah, you're going to start Ramondre Stevenson, even if he's on the bench. Like Antonio Gibson's not playing every single snap. Like he'll get a chance. So yeah, make this move. Short answer. I actually I probably shouldn't reveal this. I try not to talk about personal life, but I'm gonna see this guy in about an hour and a half. So by the way, if it doesn't work, this guy will give me a ton of crap. I'm gonna keep it PC here. I want to make it a PG type of game or PG type of show. I want everybody to feel welcome and included. Full disclosure, I do use a lot of profanity. I try not to use it on the show, but it does slip out. I had no idea, man. I had no idea you were a German citizen. I absolutely loved it there. It was one of the most impactful experiences in my life because once I got to see what things were like in a foreign culture, it just changed me. I was floored that everybody from Germany spoke English. I remember one person said, "Well, I speak English, I just don't speak it very well." And I was like, "You probably speak it better than I do." Yeah, Germany's fantastic. God, I'm so I'm kind of geeked out about this that I got because I know Perry's up in Canada. Oh God, yes, I remember this was so much fun too. I remember they had the Berlin Rain and the Frankfurt Galaxy. That was a lot of fun. I loved it. And then there's an European Football League. There is a German football league. I didn't know this. I did not know this. Seriously, I would it's kind of funny when I just moved from okay, you know what? You know where Las Vegas is, okay? I lived outside of Kansas City and I was thinking about coaching high school football because in Kansas, you don't have to be a teacher. You can coach. And I talked to one of the coaches and he said that, they were bringing in, some other people, but stay in touch. And next year I can get you on the coaching staff. I thought about coaching. I'm a football junkie. I thought about coaching. And what I did is I went to the games and, stood on the sidelines, listened to the coaches and try to pick up some things. And the high school players were just so damn soft. I would not be able to handle the softness of kids, but like a JUCO, a small like NAIA school. I don't know if this makes any sense to you or not, but a very small college. And then I was talking to one of my neighbors who played high school out here. He was going to play college. He had some injuries and stuff, and he told me that the way it's broken up is that they have some high schools that are, they got so for example, Ramondre Stevenson and Romo Duze both played high school ball here in Vegas, like at the top tier. Like they have the top tier high schools here in Vegas that are like basically a lot of those guys are going like Ramondre Stevenson, for example, he went to Oklahoma. Romo Duze could have gone anywhere in the country. I forgot why, but there was a reason why he went to Washington. But he literally got offers from every single school in the country. And he told me that if I wanted to, I'd probably have to start out at a lower tier high school. I would maybe do something like that, or I'm coaching guys that, hey, you're going to a major college or you're trying to get a scholarship. But would I coach in Germany? 100%. I would love to coach in Germany. I would love to do that. Right now, my goal is just kind of blowing up on YouTube. But I would love to coach over in Germany. I had no idea there was a German football league. I had no idea. That just sounds like a lot of fun. I remember when this first came out in the 90s, I loved it. And they had some ex-NFL players that got, or not ex-NFL players, they had some college guys that I knew. It was a lot of fun. I really got a kick out of it. And I didn't have a chance this year to watch what was the UFL or XFL or whatever it is. I didn't get a chance to watch any of that. And it sucked because 2 years ago, I really enjoyed it. But yeah. Yeah, London, Spain, Barcelona. God, where else were they? But yeah, it was really cool. God, you would have to drive 3. Oh wow. I couldn't even picture like the army base I stayed at was near where the Berlin Wall used to be at Hollisfels, something like that. It was yeah, I would love to go back to Germany. I had no clue. I just get the kick out of it. I got 10 minutes left. I want to go over there's not any major point spread changes, but there is a few, and I want to go over those real super fast. The London game, Minnesota went from a 1-point favorite to 1.5. That doesn't surprise me. People are liking the Vikings. Full disclosure, I picked the Jets in an upset. I think the Jets defense extremely good. I think you got an angry Aaron Rodgers. London's kind of a weird thing. But action's leaning towards Minnesota. I'm doing just the opposite. I like the Jets. Would not surprise me, but I like the Jets. Miami and New England over-under went from 35.5 to 36. Full disclosure, 36 points in the game. I really like the over on this. It's hard for me, even though scoring's been down. I have a hard time believing 21-17. You're really going to tell me that's not going to happen? Even teams with limited offenses, I have a hard time believing this. Carolina at Chicago. Action is going up on Chicago. Chicago's now a 4-point favorite. They opened at 3.5. Spoiler alert, I like Carolina to win outright. I think Caleb Williams, I think he's going to struggle. I think the pressure is going to start getting to him. I get it. You used the number 1 pick in the draft to get the kid. I get it. If I'm Carolina, the Bears defense is tough. So I'm going into this game. If I'm Carolina, all I'm thinking is I just don't want to give the Bears a short field. I don't want to make any mistakes. I'm not going to be overly creative. And then, if we can get into the fourth quarter. This is so awesome. I am so geeked. I had no idea. I should stop doing this because Perry's up in Canada. You're in Germany. I have an international. I am so geeked out by this. This is so awesome. I really think Carolina's going to go into this game just saying, hey, we're just going to try to keep it close into the fourth quarter. We're going to make a play. Caleb Williams is going to make a mistake. That's how I see that game. That's why I like Chicago, the cover 4. The Raiders at Denver, the over-under went from 36.5 to 35.5. So it's actually funny. I took something. I used to do Krav Maga, and it was a guy from Germany who played at Wyoming. And I asked him about Josh Allen. Now, this is when Josh Allen was a senior at Wyoming, and he told me that Josh Allen could play anything. He could be a linebacker, he could be a tight end, he could probably play receiver. He's like the most athletically gifted guy in the world, but he said the guy is super raw. So whoever drafts him is going to have to be patient, but he's a good dude. And by the way, the guy was really great. By the way, me and this guy were not friends. We sparred, and because he's a former college linebacker, I wanted to spar with somebody bigger. You're taking self-defense. Well, I don't want to take. I don't really feel like I need self-defense from a smaller guy. I wanted to spar with somebody bigger, and it's funny because we were doing training drills, and he was like, "There's a giant pad, and he's kicking it." And, and he didn't apologize either. I wanted him to do it, but like the next day I took a picture. I had giant bruises all over me. So look at this. Dan, I'm on the Domino speaker again. Jose says you're hot. Yeah. I love getting, I am completely straight, but I have some really great coworkers. I really, really do. But this is just going to drive me nuts. All right. Conklin versus Vikings. Okay, so here's the drill. McBride is questionable. Okay. McBride is questionable. If he plays, you absolutely have to go with McBride. Okay. I actually like Conklin. I think they need to use him more. But I've been missing a lot of guys here. So let me make sure I get this right, because I know he's doubtful. I believe McBride is going to play, but I said Neighbors was going to play. I said Singletary is going to play. McBride is not even on the injury report. So go with McBride. I dropped the ball here because I had Adams playing. I found out Adams is out. Zamir White is out. Jonathan Taylor is out after I thought he would go and play, and Neighbors is out. So it looks like McBride's going to play. Both are tough matchups against good defenses. I do low-key think Conklin may have a decent game. Go with McBride, though. This is going to be my final question before I end the show. But do keep in mind, if you drop a comment below, you message me either on Instagram, Twitter, or X, or you can go old school, email me at dantalksfootball@yahoo.com. I will get back to you later tonight. If you message me on Saturday, I will get back to you. If you message me on Sunday, I will not get back to you until Monday. So, would you trade Garrett Wilson for Shaheed and Judy if it meant getting Breece? I'd have Kyron, Breece, and Brooks, and have JJ as my wide receiver number 1, Deontay Waddle and Dell on the bench. Hold on here. Let me back up here. If it meant getting Breece, how are you trading Garrett Wilson and you're getting Shaheed, Judy, and Brees. You might have to you have to explain that, but I mean Brees Hall, he may not have a good game against Minnesota. This is a guy he's the running back number one. You'd have Kyrie. So I mean, oh, you're in a super flex league. Okay, well, first off, if you're in a super flex, you are keep an eye out on Anthony Richardson, because if he doesn't play, that's a big deal. You have to figure out what to do there. And then I hate to do this because I have to end the show. I need a little more information because I don't understand this trade. Garrett Wilson for Shaheed and Judy and Brees Hall. Because I'll be honest, let's ignore the Brees Hall part. You're looking Garrett Wilson, who's a 1. Shaheed had some big games, but he's an up and down dude. Judy, for whatever reason, is getting a lot of touches. Now, if Amari Cooper gets traded from Cleveland to Dallas, could happen. Judy's production is going to go up. Keep in mind the tackles are coming back. Chubb's coming back. So just Garrett Wilson for Shaheed and Judy's a little interesting. I kind of like that. Keep in mind you got Justin Jefferson, so he's obviously your dude. Deontay Johnson's interesting. You also have Waddle and Dell. Both those guys are interesting. The thing is, though, you have those 6 guys, I'd almost rather you keep Garrett Wilson. But if you can absolutely get Brees Hall, do it. You're going to have to message me back. Since I'm going to see you in a little bit, I'm not going to answer this question because I'll go into a little more detail and also have the opportunity to look over your roster. Because Eckler's playing, Brian Robinson's not. Legette's always a good pickup, but I'll talk to you here in a bit. Guys, I'm going to end the show. Don't forget, I'll be back Monday for 3 more hours of afternoon delight, plus Chiefs Saints live on Monday night. Have a great weekend. If you have any questions, message me, drop a comment below, hit me up on either Instagram, Twitter, X, or you can go old school, email me, dantalksfootball@yahoo.com. Have a great weekend. I'll see everybody back